Welcome to the MBU Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Joel Divick. That's Samuel Pearson. And Sam, last time we talked, it was a little while ago, and you guys were entering conference play. And since then, rattled off 4 straight wins. Yeah. What's the feeling among the team like? It seems like you guys have really kind of nailed down some chemistry lately.
Yeah, we have. Chemistry's high, connectedness, togetherness is high. Obviously, going on a road trip to Arkansas, getting a couple of tough wins. It's tough to play in Arkansas. Central Baptist is a tough place to play, as well as Walnut Ridge and Williams Baptist. But spirits are high. You know, we're kind of rocking on a win streak, 6-2 for the year, 4-0 in the conference. So winning patches a lot of problems that you may have. You know, winning, everybody's in a better mood when you're winning basketball games, and we've been able to do that here lately, and been fortunate enough to win some games and to be able to get some players a little deeper down the bench, get them some game time minutes, and really buy into the stay ready type of mentality. So man, it's a blessing. You know, it's a blessing to be in the position that we are, one of the best starts that we've had as a team, as a program since I've been here for sure. And then, 15 to 20 years dating back. So, man, we're in a really good spot, collectively, individually, and then as a unit, man. We're playing some good basketball, sharing it well, guarding it well. Been holding teams less than 60, night in, night out. So we're guarding it on a pretty good stint. But, yeah, man, emotions are high. Our connectedness is together, and we're still going to take this thing one game at a time, one practice at a time. Our next night out is a Division II GLVC program in Southwest Baptist. So we're going to step on that court, man, with the same mentality, and that's to be us in all facets of the game. So,
yeah, you mentioned it a little bit. Seems like you guys have found a rhythm on offense, but are limiting teams on the defensive end as well. I believe it's 73.5 points per game over this 4-game win streak.
Yeah.
And in the 50s is what you're scoring, or you're scoring defense-wise.
Yeah.
Got to go back a little bit further to the beginning of this whole win streak. Obviously, a great start for you guys when you came out. Played both games here at home against William Woods and Lyon College. Ended up putting 100 on Lyon and got the first win in your tenure and the first win against Lyon.
That's right.
In a really long time.
Yeah.
So what was it like to just come out of the non-conference schedule and come into conference play with that kind of just an offensive explosion?
Yeah. Well, we knew our non-con schedule was going to prepare us for our conference, and that's kind of when scheduling those games, that's really what you're looking for. Is to prepare yourself for ultimately the conference is what matters. So we came out against a William Woods team who's got a lot of youth, a lot of young talent. But Coach Nash really has them playing some good basketball. I think that we wound up winning by maybe 10 or so in a back-to-back battle. In our opening home game, and then man, it was sweet to beat Lyon in the fashion that we did. For many years they've been dominating us. We've gradually closed the gap over the years, but like you said, in my tenure, I had yet to beat Lyon. So it felt good to win in the way that we did. Dominating the glass, turned them over several times. I want to say maybe plus 30 turnovers. Offensive rebounding. It was a really dominating performance, top to bottom. I think we won at 155. So we rode that, going into like our exhibition at Bradley. We took Bradley to the wire, Division I team. Took them to the wire 44-44 with 6 or so to play. And then we kind of lost sight of that, towards the end. But, to put ourselves in a position that where we are now, 4-0 in the conference is a blessing. We're going to remain humble, but also stay hungry. Our work is far from over. There's a lot of different things that, happen over the course of season, with injuries. We were dealing with some of that early on, with injuries. Second semester, a lot of teams get some transfers or some players that are ineligible become eligible or vice versa, So, man, it's all a matter of just having our best foot forward when the time comes to take the court against whatever conference opponent it may be.
Yeah, and we've seen some individual performers really step up. Let's talk a little bit about, just we've talked off camera just about how deep this squad is that you have. And despite the injuries that you've sustained in the early going and, losing Bryce Dowell for a few games, she's a transfer that came in last year but is making her start this year. Tiani Taylor, we've said it on the broadcast before, doing Tiani Taylor things. She's picking up where she left off last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Deanna Dodd is, a do-it-all kind of player for you guys. What aspects of the your individuals that you have on this team, what's impressed you? Who do you see that's coming along that's improved the most? Things like that.
I mean, Tiani Taylor is an honorable mention All-American, man. She's going to be a Hall of Famer for us. She's the horse. She's the alpha dog, as we know. I feel like we talk about her a lot, and rightly so. Lexus Austin has been a cornerstone piece for us for years, as well as Lauren Ebert. But players like you said, newcomers like Deanna Dodd, who's held it down as the point guard, who is a one-man press almost, with her defensive pressure that she's able to apply. Bryce Dowell's probably one of the most gifted scorers that we have on the team. But on beyond that, with Joelle Atkins, who is just a glue piece for us. Kaylee Winch, who has held it down and played her role as a big, as a 4, as a 5. Casey Rice, who's a transfer from Tabor College, who's taken a lesser of a role at MOBAT but has embraced it. And then Aaliyah Williams, who had one heck of a game against Lyon and has just been playing great minutes since then. So man, we have a lot of depth. And I want to give a couple of special shout outs to Jaleesa Jordan, who originally wasn't playing a lot for us early on in the season. Her spirits were kind of down early on. I told her to stay engaged, stay ready, and now she's starting for us. A transfer, from Harris Stowe, who's, here from St. Louis, and then also Talasia Morris is another transfer who's been playing a lot of minutes for us here recently. Man, who's a versatile player. Plays the 2, 3, 4, bangs a little bit, handles it a little bit. Is another a significant role player for us, man. So we got a lot of depth. We're top heavy, but our second team can start on many teams in this conference. And then our third team, if you will, is really talented as well. And they were able to get some minutes against Williams Baptist. So
some up and comers in that group like Casey Diger as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Casey Diger is obviously a freshman. So she's getting, she's kind of getting introduced to the physicality of the college game. The speed of it, et cetera, different terminology. So she's getting implemented into it, man, and it's really playing good minutes for us as well. As well as, we can go Bryn Holtz, Nia Ford, and on down the line, man. There's 16 of us. There's 16 of us, man. So, we kind of pride ourselves on that depth. We pride ourselves on the next man up. Celebrating everyone's successes. I don't want any. At the end of each game, I don't really want girls playing 33, 35 minutes a game. If that's the case, then we didn't do something right. I want my stat line to be 24 minutes, and then the next has 12, and then we'll finish with 8. Or whatever it may be per each position. And just really pride ourselves on our depth and the next man up mentality.
Right. And looking a bit forward. The next 3 conference games, don't want you, like you said, we're going game by game with this thing. But on the opposite side of the break, the other 2 teams that are right behind you in the conference standings, UHSP and Stevens, will be your first 2 games out of the semester break. But Columbia is the one that's looming. It's your last home game. So let's talk a little bit about that, as well as Indiana University Northwest.
Well, man, Indiana University is, I think they're 8-1 right now, playing good basketball, receiving votes. So this is a game, a non-con game that's kind of untraditional. Right before the break, we're going to go to their place. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one playing at their place. Indiana basketball, as the nation knows, man, is a stout brand of basketball. So it'll be a little different according to like our typical conference opponents. And then we'll take it into that Saturday against Columbia, who, is probably our biggest rival, in each sport, especially men and women's basketball. Just eliminated our women's volleyball team, after we battled with them, throughout the whole course of their season.
Right.
This one means a little more. I know that they'll have a chip on their shoulder. Last time they came here, we beat them for the first time in 32 tries, or the last 32 tries, or something of that sort. And then they eliminated us in the conference tournament, man. So this one means a lot. Typically, Columbia is the prototype of the conference, especially in women's basketball. So I know Coach Arnold's going to have those girls ready to play. We'll have our group ready to play, 40 minutes worth of a battle, and maybe 45 to 50 if we're going in OT, whatever it may take.
Yeah.
But we'll be ready to play our brand of basketball, to be us, to be the best representation of ourselves, to guard it how we want to guard, to push it how we want to push it, and rebound it physical. We're going to try to put our best foot forward come the 17th when we have them here at home, So we're excited for it. Excited to get into the break, and then on the other side of it with Stevens and Pharmacy, once that opportunity comes, hopefully we're ready for that as well.
Absolutely. Sam, we'll meet one more time before that Columbia game, but we're wishing you luck against Southwest Baptist. They're traveling to Bolivar for that game tomorrow on Tuesday. And thanks for taking the time, Sam. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, boss. Appreciate you.
We'll be right back with Kevin and head coach of the men's side, Preston Ingram.
Welcome to the Coaches Show. You know this guy, Preston Ingram, head men's basketball coach here at Missouri Baptist. I'm Kevin Paulus, and Coach, we got a lot of catching up to do. We haven't talked for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Want to kind of, go through the season a little bit with you, but I think right before the last time we talked, you guys were headed to Battle at the Beach. So I don't want to start on kind of a bummer, what happened down in Florida, but let's talk a little bit about those games, maybe not individually, but overall. The game against Florida College, and then defending national champ Loyola, followed by Faulkner, who at the time was number 9. You come up short in all 3 of those games, but what are the things that you learned about your team that will make this a positive experience going forward?
Sure. Well, one of the positive experiences was the views we had. The beachfront views with a beautiful outside, man. I think it kind of took a little bit easier, but no, I thought all 3 games were exactly what we wanted out of it. Obviously we wish that we'd have pulled out a couple wins down there. I think they've been huge for our program.
Right.
And just overall psyche of stuff. But what we talked about is that we're 2 or 3 possessions away. We're 2 or 3 possessions away from every single one of the games. The Loyola game, we really thought we had the game in the bag. Down the last 3 minutes of the game, we didn't execute well. I think it went on a 15-1 run at the end, or 15-2 run, something like that, to be able to kind of finish that game off. And they hit clutch shots, but it just kind of shows that with a brand new group, you're 2 or 3 possessions away from either winning those games and putting yourself in the top 10, which I think that's what we would have done, and done the exact same thing that essentially Florida College did, go 3-0 and move themselves all the way to number 11 or 12, I guess it was. Or we go 0-3, and we're still trying to figure out 2 or 3 possessions on how we're going to be better. But all 3 games, I thought they tested us. They made us grow up. They made us understand that we're knocking on the door. But like I told those guys, you got to be like the old Kool-Aid man back in the 80s. You can't knock all the time. Sometimes you got to kick the door in and be able to really kind of just set yourself that you're going to be there in. I thought that's what we did, or that's what is hopefully going to pay us dividend in the long term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we talked about this before the trip. You're like, we got to get at least 1, and maybe 2, down there.
Yeah.
You end up going 0-3, but how do you, and I mean, this is really thinking bigger picture on the season, but how does that help you come end of the season, with potentially at-large bids, things like that? I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have played the schedule that you guys have played so far.
Well, for sure. I mean, now Faulkner's number 7, I think it is. So, now we've officially played 7, 11, 13, 21, 24, and then the receiving votes.
Right.
And out of the 6 losses.
And a defending national.
And a defending national champion that has only lost 1 game on the year.
Right.
Out of our 6 losses, 5 of them have been either by top 25 or receiving votes.
Right.
And it doesn't help us in the long term, as far as in the fact of getting the out-large bids. But what it does do, though, is I think it puts us in a map still in there to sit there saying that we're 2 or 3 possessions away. And if we finish well in the conference, which at the end of the day, that's what means the most, is conference play. But I can go back to those things, and those guys, our players, are doing the exact same thing with our players and staff, and saying, we know the importance of 2 or 3 possessions.
Right.
It's in the very beginning of the year when we was playing Evangel in Mid-America, it was not 2 or 3 possessions a game.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it was 35 possessions.
Right.
Now, but we've been to use that as a thresh about what we need to do. We came back, we fixed it, but now we're showing that we're as what we think that we could be. But like I tell the guys, thinking and thought sometimes tells you everything that you don't know. But what we do know that we're 2 or 3 possessions away.
Right.
And I'm hoping there's going to pay us dividend in the course of time for conference tournament. Because even if we won those games, but if we don't take care of conference play, it's not going to matter at that point.
It's a good segue because in conference, all right?
Excuse me.
In conference, you guys are 4-0 wins over William Woods and Lyon, and then specifically I want to talk about the games that just happened at Central Baptist and Williams Baptist, where you guys, for the first time in a long time, swept the Arkansas road swing. Let's talk a little bit about that Central Baptist. Brendan, I mean, as you pointed out, I've read your text, things like that, or not text, but on Twitter. It's not one shot that wins a game. It's a team that wins a game throughout, so there's many moments. But the one that everyone's going to talk about is the shot that Brendan hits 1.1 seconds left to win this game over Central Baptist, the first win for Missouri Baptist in 5 years down there. Talk a little bit about that game. Your first.
It's my first.
Your first, yeah.
It's my first.
Exactly.
Sorry, I got something in my throat here.
You get choked up about these wins.
I do, man, especially that one.
Yep.
That has a lot of history to it, in multiple different ways. My first year, they knock us out in the conference tournament. The second year, they knock us out in the conference tournament in the second round. Obviously we had some battles down there that have been battles for greater good. But it's an emotional place to play. I mean, it's a tight gym. It's a tight box gym to be able to play in. But it's a place that has it's tough to go down there and win. For us to be able to go there and be able to get a win like that early on after coming off of that 3-game stretch that we knew. I mean, we played 5 games, 7 days. You come back home and you basically go back to practicing again. Then 2 days later, after the beginning of the week, you take off, you go back down there.
Right.
I mean, we just haven't had a time to be able to work on ourselves. And be able to go in there, I think they're really good. I mean, obviously they return a lot. I think they return just about as much as anybody outside of Columbia and Woods. I mean, they return the most people. And their starting 5 outside of one guy has all started and played. And we don't have that, And for us to be able to go down and get that win in the fashion that we did, and obviously, at the end of the game, you want to be able to get one of your best players of basketball and have him go be a guy. And he's a first-team All-League guy for a reason. I think that he's putting himself in a category to be able to hopefully give himself an All-American look at the end of the year if we continue some success. And he stepped up. And, I mean, to his credit, man, it was a big shot. But we don't get that if it wasn't for the cross screen to get Moose to look, for Tyrell to come over there in the flood, the down screen from Bryce, the pass from Jadis. I mean, there's so many other factors to come in there. But that goes back to that 2 or 3 possessions on that part. And for him to be able to make that shutdown, I'm happy for him. I'm proud of our guys. And it puts us in the driver's seat early on and playing these top teams in our league that we're wanting to know. And we understand how close that could be at any point,
Then you guys move on to Williams Baptist on Saturday, and Tyrell Andrews decided 1.1 seconds was too much time, so he decides to drain the buzzer beater to beat the Eagles on Saturday. Again, much like that Central Baptist game, the second half was, they lead by 2, you lead by 2, they lead by 3. It was back and forth, and we were talking a little bit earlier. Tyrell Andrews hits a 3. Ben Keaton of Williams Baptist hits a 3. So then there's a free throw, and then the game-winning 3 by Andrews. That's in the last 8 seconds of the game.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy.
Absolutely crazy. I mean, like the last minute of the game was insane. We hit a 3, they hit a 3, we get a free throw, miss it, lane violation, turnover, 3. And I go back to it and I look at it, and it is. I mean, like, again, calm, cool, collect. I mean, back-to-back games that a fifth-year guy is stepping up to be able to make a big-time shot. And you really go back and even think about even Tyrell. Tyrell came here. He's been a bench guy for us. He's been a marquee guy for us off the bench. But he's been a guy to coming in and playing minutes in certain ways. But this year he's took a whole nother direction. He's fulfilled RJ's position offensively and defensively. And that was a big question for us. And again, Deshaun makes a great heady play of making a break on the ball. Another guy that played minimal minutes for us the last 2 years. And It's an overall collective team unit. If you're going to go beat, we know that the target on our back is huge. And going based on what we did last year, we're going to get everybody's best shot. We're not going to sneak up on nobody. And everybody's going to come in guns a blazing for us. And that's great because I think that's earned. I think that's something that you, respectively as a program, that's kind of what you want, is to hopefully be one of these standards. At the end of the day, we're not the standard. I think that we're one of these standards. But to a self-credit, that's players, that's staff, that's the culture of what it is that we want to be able to do and how we want to go about doing those things. And I'm proud of Tyrell. I'm proud of Hardy. I'm proud of both of them stepping up and making big-time plays and big-time moments.
So you bring in all these new guys, and then you look at and scoring isn't everything, but you look at the leading scorers on the season. It's Andrews, it's Hardy, and it's Jadis at the top. As much as you bring in this talent, your talent is rising. I mean, we knew Brendan was going to be there, but you just talked about, with Andrews really stepping up. Take us a little bit through how that process is really worked. Those guys still leading this team, and you have guys like Bryce Johnson and Nico and Bruno and all these guys coming in. It's starting to gel a little bit.
It really is, and then we're running this 2 games in 14 days, and then take 10 days off and then come back and try to play again. But again, we knew it was going to be about a process.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to be a long term, but we needed our veteran guys to be veteran guys.
Right.
I mean, Tyrell, Jadis, and Hardy are 5th-year guys. Deshaun's a 5th-year guy, and we need them to be 5th-year guys. And really, I guess Tyrell's a 6th-year guy. Really kind of comes down to it. And but they're stepping up in the roles and leadership roles. And it's paying its dividend because the new guys are able to learn kind of what it takes to be able to win in the fashion that we're going to want to win. And, I'm glad, I'm proud of where we're going at. I still think there's a whole nother room for us to be able to go to. I think there's a whole nother ceiling with this team that could be really even that much more better and even potentially better than what we were last year.
Right.
And that's saying a lot because I thought we was really good last year, but we're more talented, we're more skilled. We just got to get more of the it factor into us and understanding the moments of how to provide and how to provide value and provide substance, even if it's not your night. And that's essentially what this team has been doing. That's what we've been preaching the whole entire time. So hopefully we can do that.
You and I were texting a little bit about this after the game on Saturday night. It's kind of a bummer, and you just mentioned in a moment, you have 3 games left in December.
Yeah.
Literally you're off until Saturday. We'll talk about that one. And then a week later, and then you don't play till the 29th. So it's kind of a shame that you don't get to carry that momentum. Let's talk a little bit about this week's game, and that is a rematch, if you will, against College of the Ozarks. You guys played them already on November 8th, and were able to win down there. So now a home game against them on Saturday.
It's going to be our first test playing the same team twice.
Right.
And see how we react to it. You beat them the first time by 18, 16, 17, 18, something like that, or whatever it may have been at 3rd place. But obviously Steve Shepard, again, I have the utmost respect for, and he's taught me so much about the game, but it gives us a battle test to see how we're going to be on the next game around. Because we're about to see that here coming up here in January and February, is how we're going to respond after you beat somebody. Now they got some fuel.
Right.
And I think that's the positive part of that. When we try to make the schedule, some people give me flack because we don't play a cupcake schedule. I play a tough schedule. And I think our schedule this year, obviously 5 of our games is top 25 teams. There's not very many of them going to do that for non-conference games. Usually you're going to do that. It might be the Mid-South that's going to be like that because they got the respect factor from holistic.
Right.
But what we're looking at is how we're going to end up doing that. And then I want to throw in every once in a while, like how we're going to handle a national tournament, how we're going to handle the conference tournament, how we're going to handle a return game.
You got to go back to back.
And how we're going to do those things. And we've done that a little bit on this thing. And I think it's great key points for us to be able to go back to. And so I'm eager to see how we're going to handle it because I think C of O's continue to get better. They're talking about possibly coming in and joining our league. I think that's a great thing for our league is having a statute of them coming in, but it's going to give us a chance to be able to kind of see ourselves gel on a back with all this academic stuff going on also too on that part. And a full week off, I think we need it. They need it. I need it. We want to get away. But I think CFO's game's going to be tough for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate the time. Good luck
absolutely.
this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Preston Ingram. Be sure to stay tuned to MBUSpartans.com For all the information about the men's and the women's program, all athletics here at Missouri Baptist, you've been watching Missouri Baptist Basketball Coaches Show on the Spartan Digital Network.